The love potion. In a world where marriages were planned by others and love was a distant wish, lived Anya, a talented alchemist with a restless heart. She felt stuck in an upcoming marriage to a man she didn't care for. Every day, she mixed concoctions in her tiny lab, hoping to discover a way to escape her future. Anya knew of an ancient recipe for a potent love potion, rumored to make someone fall deeply in love. Desperate to escape her marriage without love, she decided to brew this make, even though people warned her they didn't know what would happen. She chose Captain Silas, a stoic and respected man in their community, as the person she wouldn't tell about the experiment. Anya didn't realize it, but this choice would set off a series of events that would destroy her peaceful life and bring forth a fear she never thought possible. Anya followed the old recipe closely in her shadowy workshop, her hands shaking with excitement and nervousness. The love drink, a sparkling mixture of unusual herbs and mysterious ingredients, gave off a faint light in the glass bottle. With a knot of nerves in her stomach, Anya walked over to Captain Silas. He was famous for staying calm under pressure and always doing the right thing. Anya held out a drink to him. It was spiked with a special potion, and she desperately hoped it would alter her future. Silas, not realizing the real effects of the potion, gulped it down quickly. For a moment, nothing happened. Anya worried that her risky plan hadn't worked. Suddenly, something changed. Silas's eyes, once distant and reserved, softened as he looked at Anya. His face grew warm, and he began to show a keen interest in her thoughts and desires. Anya, torn between relief and unease, realized with a sinking feeling that the potion had worked, perhaps too well. As days passed, Silas's affection for Anya grew stronger, but it wasn't the love she had hoped for. His attention became suffocating, his presence constant. He began to insist on knowing her whereabouts at all times, questioning her interactions with others. Anya tried to dismiss her growing unease as paranoia. She told herself that Silas's newfound interest was simply a side effect of the potion wearing off differently than expected. But deep down, she couldn't ignore the signs of his increasing possessiveness and control. Silas used to be calm and controlled, but now he couldn't stop thinking about Anya. He gave her presents every day and told her nice things constantly. But it felt more like he was trying to force her to notice him. He used to be kind, but now he acts bossy. Whenever Anya talked to another guy, Silas stared at her with a strange, strong feeling of wanting to own her. Anya found herself withdrawing from friends and family, afraid of Silas's reactions. She struggled to find a way to undo the potion's effects. But every attempt failed. Anya finally understood that she had accidentally let loose a power she couldn't control or get away from. Dread filled her as she understood how dangerous things were. Silas's love wasn't a blessing anymore, it was a burden, holding her captive in a situation he created. She was stuck in a terrible dream she herself made, worried that her risky try to change destiny had only made things much worse. As Silas's obsession with Anya grew, so did the intensity of his actions. He began to follow her everywhere. His once calm demeanor now replaced with unpredictable outbursts of jealousy and possessiveness. He would call her incessantly, demanding to know her whereabouts at all times. He started to isolate her from her friends and family, claiming he wanted her all to himself. Anya felt suffocated, trapped in a relationship that had turned from a dream into a nightmare. Silas's love, fueled by the potent potion, became suffocating and controlling. He would manipulate situations to ensure Anya was always by his side. Refusing to let her out of his sight, Anya tried to reason with him, to make him see the harm his obsession was causing. But he would not listen. His love had turned into an obsession, consuming him completely. Anya's fear grew with each passing day. She knew she had to find a way to break the potion's hold on Silas before it was too late. But every attempt to reason with him or to find an antidote failed. Silas was blinded by his twisted version of love, unable to see the harm he was causing. Desperate and alone, Anya realized she was running out of time. She had to confront Silas, to make him understand the danger they both were in. But she feared what he might do if she tried to leave him. Her only hope now was to find a way to break the potion's spell before it destroyed them both. Anya felt trapped in a nightmare of her own making. Silas's obsession with her had intensified to the point where he controlled every aspect of her life. He isolated her from her friends and family, ensuring she had no one else to turn to but him. She grew scared of Silas's sudden changes in mood and how clingy he could be. He would fly into rages over imagined slights or minor disagreements, his eyes burning with a possessive intensity that chilled her to the bone. Anya tried to maintain a facade of normalcy, but inside, she was crumbling under the weight of fear and despair. She knew she had to find a way to break the potion's hold on Silas before it consumed them both. But every time she thought about leaving or confronting him, the fear of his reaction paralyzed her. She would lie awake at night, listening to Silas's steady breathing beside her, wondering if this was her life now. A life where love had become a prison, where every smile and touch from Silas was tainted with fear. Anya felt helpless, stuck in a never-ending loop of sadness and giving up. She knew she had to escape, but the fear of what Silas might do held her captive in his controlling clutches. Anya knew she had to find a way to break the potion's hold on Silas before it was too late. She scoured her alchemical texts, searching for any clue or antidote that could reverse its effects, but each attempt failed, leaving her more desperate and fearful. One day, while rummaging through old manuscripts in her workshop, Anya stumbled upon a hidden passage that spoke of the dangers of manipulating emotions through potions. It warned of irreversible consequences and the potential for obsession to turn deadly. Her stomach dropped when she understood how badly she'd messed up. The love potion she'd made, wanting to get out of her forced marriage, had let loose an evil power that could destroy both of them. Anya's hands trembled as she read further, finding references to rituals and sacrifices that could potentially break the potion's spell. She knew what she had to do, but the thought of confronting Silas filled her with dread. She waited for a moment when Silas was away, gathering his men for a mission, and began to prepare. She gathered rare herbs and ingredients, following the ancient instructions meticulously despite her trembling hands. As she performed the ritual in her dimly lit workshop, the air thick with anticipation and fear, Anya prayed silently for a miracle. She poured her heart and soul into the ceremony, hoping against hope that it would work. And then, as the last incantation left her lips, a sudden silence fell over the room. Anya held her breath, waiting for a sign that the potion's hold had been broken. But nothing happened. Silas returned later that evening, his eyes still filled with that possessive intensity that chilled her to the bone. Anya's heart sank as she realized her desperate measures had failed. Despair threatened to overwhelm her, but deep down, she knew she couldn't give up. She had come too far to turn back now. With renewed determination, Anya resolved to find another way to break the potion's deadly grip on Silas before it consumed them both. Anya's resolve hardened as she prepared to confront Silas. She knew she had to face him, to make him understand the danger they were both in. Gathering her courage, she waited for a moment when Silas was calm, hoping to reason with him one last time. But when she approached him, Silas's eyes darkened with fury. He accused her of trying to leave him, of betraying the love they shared. Anya tried to explain, to make him see reason, but he would not listen. His voice got louder, his words filled with fury and fear. Anya shivered as she understood how much Silas had changed. The love that once seemed so hopeful had become a warped fixation that could ruin them both. As Silas advanced towards her, his hands trembling with rage, Anya knew she had no choice. She had to break the potion's hold on him, no matter the cost. Summoning all her strength, Anya confronted Silas with the truth of what the potion had done to him. She spoke of the dangers of their situation, of the darkness that had consumed his love. For a moment, Silas seemed to waver. His eyes flickered with doubt, a hint of the man he once was shining through. Anya held her breath, hoping against hope that her words had reached him. Suddenly, Silas cried out in pain and anger. He grabbed Anya's arm hard, refusing to let go. Anya fought back, her heart racing with fear, but also with a strong will to resist. In that moment of struggle, Anya saw the truth in Silas's eyes. He was lost to the obsession that had taken hold of him, unable to break free. With a heavy heart, Anya realized what she had to do. She had to make a sacrifice, to break the potion's spell once and for all. Steeling herself, she whispered the final words of the ritual she had prepared. As Anya whispered the final words of the ritual, a tense silence filled the air. She could feel Silas's grip tightening around her arm, his eyes burning with a mixture of confusion and rage. A burst of energy suddenly filled the room, along with a soft, glowing light. Anya felt a wave of happiness flood over her as she realized the potion's effect on Silas was lessening. But as the ritual reached its climax, Anya knew there would be a price to pay. The ancient texts had warned of sacrifices, of giving up something dear to break the bonds of a potent love potion. With tears streaming down her cheeks, Anya made her choice. She whispered a final plea to the spirits, offering up her own happiness and dreams of love as the sacrifice. In that moment, the room seemed to pulse with energy, and Anya felt a profound emptiness wash over her. She knew she had severed the connection between her and Silas, breaking the potion's spell once and for all. Silas staggered back, his eyes wide with disbelief. Anya watched as the obsession that had consumed him slowly faded, leaving behind a sense of loss and confusion. They stopped for a moment, looking at each other without speaking. Anya felt sad about what had happened, but also a little hopeful about what might come next. Silas finally spoke, his voice hoarse with emotion. He apologized for his actions, for the pain he had caused. Anya nodded silently, her own emotions too raw to put into words. As the realization of their ordeal sank in, Anya knew they had both been forever changed by the experience. The love potion had taught them a harsh lesson about the dangers of manipulating emotions, of trying to control something as powerful as love. Even though everything they had hoped for fell apart, Anya discovered a bit of inner strength. She confronted her fears, gave up something important, and in the end, it made her braver. After breaking the potion's curse, Anya and Silas were left dealing with what had happened to them. The feeling of being trapped by obsession and fear slowly went away, and a strange sense of peace took its place. Anya retreated to her workshop, seeking solace in her alchemical pursuits. She worked tirelessly, not just to heal the wounds caused by the potion, but also to mend her own shattered heart. Silas, too, retreated into himself, grappling with the realization of what his obsession had cost them both. He sought forgiveness from Anya, who found it in her heart to offer him a tentative reconciliation. Their relationship, though forever changed, slowly began to rebuild on a foundation of mutual understanding and respect. They spoke of the lessons learned, of the dangers of manipulating emotions, and the consequences of unchecked desire. Over time, Anya grew stronger. The difficult experiences she'd been through made her a much better alchemist. She promised herself never to mess with powerful things she couldn't handle again, and to accept the natural ups and downs of her feelings. Silas, humbled by his experience, dedicated himself to protecting others from the same fate. He became an advocate for love rooted in mutual respect and understanding, rather than possession and control. Together, they found a new path forward, scarred but wiser for their journey through darkness. They knew they could never erase the memories of what had transpired, but they chose to carry forward the lessons learned, forging a future built on trust, honesty, and a deep respect for the complexities of love. And so, in a world where arranged marriages still dictated many lives, Anya and Silas carved out their own story, one of redemption, forgiveness, and the enduring power of resilience in the face of adversity.